Speaker, why didn't the Prime Minister sack the former Health Secretary on Friday morning?
Mr. Speaker, I read the story in common with you and everybody else on Friday, and we had a new Health Secretary in place by Saturday, Mr. Speaker, which I think, given that we have a pandemic, I think to move from one Health Secretary to the next with that speed was fast, Mr. Speaker, but it wasn't as fast as the vaccine rollout, Mr. Speaker, which is now going so fast that we've done in this week half of the under 30s, Mr. Speaker, have now had their first jab, and that is speed.
Keir Starmer.
Mr. Speaker, what a ridiculous answer. The Prime Minister must have been the only person in the country who looked at that photo on Friday morning and thought that the Health Secretary shouldn't be sacked immediately. On Friday, the Prime Minister's spokesperson said, quote, "The Prime Minister considers the matter closed." Minister after minister were then sent out to defend the indefensible. It was briefed that the Prime Minister was quite happy for the Health Secretary to stay in his post. So, can the Prime Minister clarify, now he's got the chance, did he sack the Health Secretary or at any point ask him to resign? Yes or no?
Mr. Speaker, the Honourable Gentleman will notice that the Health Secretary has changed in the last 5 days. He complains about the speed with which that happened. This government moved at positively lightning speed by comparison to the Right Honourable Gentleman opposite, who spent 3 days trying and failing to sack his deputy leader, Mr. Speaker, who he then promoted, Mr. Speaker. He fires and rehires.
Mr. Speaker, the deputy leader is sitting beside me. The former Health Secretary has done a runner. Mr. Speaker, on Friday, the Prime Minister said the case was closed. Then on Monday, he tried to take the credit for the Health Secretary resigning. In a minute, he'll be telling us he scored the winner last night. But let me press the Prime Minister a bit more on this. The person the Health Secretary was in a relationship with was his non-executive director. Let me remind the House, according to the government's own guidance, one of the roles of a non-executive director is to challenge the Secretary of State and the department, to challenge them. And they receive taxpayers' money for doing so. So from the offset, it was blindingly obvious that there was a conflict of interest here and a whole host of unanswered questions. Why on earth did the Prime Minister judge that this matter was closed on Friday morning?
Mr. Speaker, I hesitate to accuse the Right Honourable Gentleman of repeating his question. I observe that the non-executive director in question is also no longer with the department. And what the continuity, Mr. Speaker, is that department is getting on with the fastest vaccine rollout of any European country. And I'm proud to tell this House that this week, I can tell you what's happened just in the last few days. This country has actually overtaken Israel in the proportion of people we have vaccinated, Mr. Speaker. And I think he might pay tribute to the Health Department for that achievement.